Hello, Ronglins. Santa here. So I'll cut to the chase. I want to do try out hot tenting. I want to know if there's a place for it in my enjoyment of camping. The last video, which is about 3,000 years ago, was trying out the log burner, and this one is going to be trying out hot tenting because I've now bought a tent. It is that one. I bought it from Amazon. I must admit, spend a lot of time on Amazon, but I did actually start the search generally, but all roads seem to lead back to Amazon, so it ended up being Amazon again. So that's all ready to go. I want to bring it all together. I'm in the garden because it's a twofold, because I want to try and do it in a controlled environment. I've never done hot tenting before, and also I'm a backpacker, so I want to take it backpacking, and nobody ever does that. Nobody ever takes hot tent backpacking for obvious reasons. It's all got to fit in your backpack and that. I stubbornly bought a log burner that didn't fold down really flat. They're still quite heavy because I didn't like them. For various reasons I didn't like them. So I got one that folds slightly, but basically the main box is still solid metal, and it's impossible to take that backpacking. I have found a way around this to buy a piece of apparatus that will help me bring it with me, because I have to bring that, and I also want to bring the wood with me. I'll probably talk about it later. I don't like cutting up dead trees and clearing the whole forest of wood. So obviously all that cannot be taken backpacking. So I have a way of getting around that, which I'm not going to disclose because I trawled the whole internet. I can't find anyone else doing this. So if this works today, because this is a tester in the garden, if this works today, then I should be doing that in the future, and it should be interesting for me to do and interesting viewing. So for the time being, I've moved house. That's why there's such a massive gap between the last video and this one, because I decided to try and do it myself, because I couldn't afford a removals company, and that meant I had to buy a lockup and start moving before my move date, and it took a long time and a lot of hard work, and so I haven't had a chance to do a video till now. And this is the new garden. You'll probably see it's a bit of a mess because it's actually in the middle of a makeover itself. So this is where I live now. This is a new garden. So I'm guessing that's it really. Today's video is going to be about hot tenting in the garden, testing it all out, seeing how it all works. It'll be my first time, so it might be a bit of a well, we'll just see how we get on. I'm going to put the tent up now, so it'll be the first time I've ever done that. That should be funny. Alright, so not happy with the inner tent. For a start, as you can see, it's not the shape of the tent, so when it's up, it really encroaches on this side, which is where I'm going to put the log burner. So you've got all that space behind there, which doesn't look a lot on screen. It's actually quite a massive space with nothing in it, and you can't open the door for the other side, so you can't use it for storage. So it's the wrong shape. It's just a square, which means that it shifts so far up that way, and therefore so far towards the log cabin, when you could have the log burner, and you could have it so much further that way if it was the right shape. As you can see, it's right on the edge. In fact, both the pegs are outside, because that's as far away as I can pull it. That's not really the issue per se. The other issue is that you have to peg the corners, and there's nowhere, the thing doesn't actually attach to the edge of the tent. Although you've got loops, there's no door there, so it's not for the door. So you've got loops, but you can't, there's no toggles on here. So you have to peg it down and then take the middle section and hang it up. Now on the ceiling there was a hook which I thought was the lantern, but since there's nothing else up there to hook it to, you'd have to hook the inner tent to it. So therefore you can't put a lantern up because the hook's tiny and it's not big enough for both. But again, that's not the problem. The problem is I hooked this onto the hook, which I thought was the lantern hook, and then as you can see there's a tightener on here to I can't do it with two hands, but you pull on that to tighten it because it was really saggy, and I didn't pull very hard. I'm well aware tents can go, and I didn't pull it very hard, and the hook broke, so there's nowhere for, I can't put the inner tent up now because that was the only way to put it up, was this one single hook, which I wasn't comfortable with anyway. You know, you inevitably pull on the tent a little bit as you're in your bed sleeping and what have you, you know, and I barely tightened it at all. I didn't, you know, I even took up the tension myself. I had it with both hands, and I sort of pushed it up in order to take up the slack so I could tighten it and then let go of it, and it just broke. It just snapped straight off. So I've now got no way of putting the inner tent up because that was it, and I have also got no way of putting my lantern up because it bust. So not happy about that. You know, there's many design issues. It was fine right up until when I put the inner tent up, because the tent itself looks great. You know, it's a really good tent. It looks good. It's, you know, it's got the silver lining. You know, bear in mind this is under £100. It's got the silver lining inside. You see, it's got loads of space. You know, it's without the inner tent, it's got loads of space. With the inner tent it would have been one, but it's only me going anyway. So but you know, this is a bit of an issue. This is so tight that this little doobrey here to keep it pushed out is like twice as long as the bit it needs to push, so it's not actually doing its job really. I mean, you may as well not use it because it's not really doing anything. And that's not a problem on the other side. You've got a vent on the other side, and it's a bit long, but you see it's actually working quite well. It's a bit too long as well, really. So yeah, I mean, these are little niggles. None of this matters except for the fact that the hook broke, and I wasn't putting hardly any pressure on it at all, because I'm well aware things can break, and things are only made sort of relatively cheaply when you buy a cheap tent. And I, as I said, I even took the slack up myself so I wouldn't be pulling on the hook, and it broke and it went. So there you go. So I don't like not using inner tents because I hate bugs and slugs and things crawling on my head. So yeah, I may just sort of get underneath it and sleep with it sort of on my head. Anyway, not really sure what to do there. Not really sure how to fix it, because you can say buy another inner tent, but it's going to have to hook up the same way, I presume. I don't know. There you go. That's problem number one. Right, so one of my pieces of new is a Shakeology tent chair. It is a Yeezy Light camping chair. The whole point of it is that I sit on the floor inside a small tent, because I'm extremely old and I'm finding it more difficult to sit on the floor. It's quite painful on the hips, so I bought a very low chair so I can sit inside most of my tent. Well, so I ain't got many. I should be able to sit inside all of them except for the Fox one, because obviously it's like a bivvy, fancy bivvy really. So that's the point of getting this, and it's super comfortable. It feels flimsy, but it's actually super comfortable. As with all, I mean, it's not even digging into this ground is really soft. It's been raining for 20 years, and it's even sort of, I mean, it will go down eventually, but because the legs aren't doing that, they're doing that. Even that isn't sort of sinking straight away, so that's good from that point of view. And it's really comfortable. So yeah, getting off of it's a laugh though. It's kind of, you kind of got to go, you know, sort of roll off it, because the whole point of getting it is because I'm old, and now you got to kind of. Right, let's get this started. Just turned it on. Turned it on. What is this? Let's flip a switch. I've just put the wood in and just started it going. So give that a go. Give that a chance to take off. Cook some tea on it later. So that's the inside. Empty because I can't put the blooming inner tent up. Let's give that a chance to burn, and I'll stick a cup of tea on later. Well, I don't know if the light, what the light is like, because I've got nowhere to hang anything. You know, it'd be perfect if I sort of hung it from here, everywhere lit up, Bob's your uncle, but it's nowhere to, because the hook broke. But then the hook would be holding up the inner tent anyway, so you couldn't use the hook anyway. So another annoyance about this. So okay, so new problem with this tent is that the guy ropes have snapped. 3 of the guy ropes have just snapped. I set the tent up, did a bit of filming in this afternoon, and then I took my daughter home. When I come back, the guy ropes are just broken, just snapping all over the place. So yeah, I'm not happy with this, and I was questioning whether I'd use it again. Okay, you know, the inner tent don't work, but I could use the outer tent. But nah, it's now the guy ropes are snapping. The hook at the top's gone. The design wasn't great anyway. I'm just feeling for rain. You're in the doorway, the door's open. This thing is giving off so much heat, it's unbelievable. I've had to take my coat off. It's not exactly cold, I must admit, but it's because we're in autumn, but the heat coming off that is just unbelievable. So yeah, I like having a hot tent, but the tent isn't so hot. Do you see what I did there? I like that. So I'm gonna have to buy another tent, rethink it, and buy another tent. I like the size. I want to stick to this size. It's a bit cramped, but I'm trying to backpack and stealth camp with it, as crazy as it sounds. That's my intentions, and it's already got quite a big footprint. The footprint's a good 3 meters, I think. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying this tent at all. It's £100. It's not cheap, and yet, you know, things are breaking all over the place. The tent doesn't feel such bad quality, but you know, I think the guy ropes were the last straw. It's just I just don't want anything to do with it anymore. So I'm going to try and pack it up, back up, send it back to Amazon and say it's rubbish. But you know, sitting here with the old log burner going, having a heater in a tent is great. The ergonomics aren't very good either. It's the log burner has to be kind of almost in the middle of the tent, tiny tent, and yet it has to be kind of right in the middle, too close to anything else. So I don't know. I've not had any hot tents before, so is this normal? Is that what it's supposed to be like? Is that what happens? I mean, what I said earlier about doing it in the garden before, yeah, testing the equipment out in the garden. It couldn't have been any better, could it? Because it couldn't have been any better example, could there? Because if everything's failing, you know, I had to retie the guy ropes. I mean, if that had gone while this log burner's going, because it made the whole end sag and go in, it would have touched the log burner. So if that had gone while the log burner's going, thankfully it wasn't, you know, it's your tent melted. No, that's not good at all. I've lost faith in it, so I don't want nothing to do with it. After this, it's going to be rolled up and taken away. So, major failure. I've never had a piece of equipment that's disheartened me as much as this. So yeah, buying another one. The reviews were quite favourable, so the reviews is where it's all at, really. But there you go. A lesson, not a lesson learned, a lesson proved. Do it at home, because it failed. And if I was out, I'd be packing it all up, turning around and going home again. At least because I'm at home, I'm not going to sleep in it tonight. I was going to do that. I'm not going to sleep in it tonight because I've got no inner tent. I don't do camping out in the open, you know, inside the tent, because I don't like creep crawlies and bugs and stings crawling my ears and slugs over my face, and yeah, I don't do that. That's not me. So I've got to have an inner tent. I know it's a bit girly, but I've got to have an inner tent. So there you go. That's that. Lovely cup of tea. Oh, I brought this in with me. It's got my milk in it because I didn't bother bringing camping stuff in because I knew I wasn't going to be staying. This is my sick cow. Okay. A sick cow. I had this from my mum's house, and I used to do that when I was a kid, and yeah, nothing's changed. Whoa. Enough cup of tea. And I haven't brought my camping things with me either. Camping cup, I can't be bothered. I just took it all with him from the house. But I have got my camping spoon, because I forgot to bring a spoon in from the house. So, you know what, I can do that. Don't have to worry about needing no trace. It's my garden. So that's sick cow. Cheers. Right, well, that's, I'll put the light there, really. Well, that's me done now. Oh, you know, my thoughts. It was successful and it wasn't successful. I can see how I would like to do hot tenting, and I can see how it will work for me. And I did enjoy sitting in the tent with the fire going. It was blooming hot though, with the fire going, cup of tea, and I could see me cooking meals on it and stuff. I think I'd like to do hot tenting. I need a better tent. This one has failed miserably, so I need a better tent. So I'm going to save up for another one, buy a better one, and test in the garden, because clearly I really needed to do that this time. And then when I've done that, maybe I can eventually go out. I probably ain't gonna go out backpacking as normal in the meantime. The hot tenting is something that's gonna be an ongoing thing for a while. I'm dying to get back out backpacking again. It's been a long time, so that's the next thing. And in the meantime, I'll save for another hot tent and try it again. So, signing off to a semi-successful camp stroke experiment, and I'll see you the next time.